What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. So today we're gonna be talking about cars that are super duper heavy, but are somehow still insanely fast. And I have to say, some of these cars on this list just absolutely blow my mind because of how well engineered they are, and they have piqued my interest on future cars that I may bring to the channel. Now, the first car that we're gonna be talking about, in this car, I'm super considering this or like a CA Corvette, and that's a BMW M5 Competition from 2019 and up. Now, we all know and have seen all the different memes online of people saying that this car is an absolute boat, and they're right. This thing weighs 5,300 pounds. I don't even know what they have in the car. I understand that it's a twin turbocharged V8 that makes like 600 horsepower, but with that amount of weight, it just makes me wonder if there's like a electric motor or something in there. Because when you look at this car, it doesn't even look that heavy. But even though it weighs that much and has that huge V8 in it, it's able to get a 0 to 60 time of 3.1 seconds, and some people have even got it under 3 seconds at like 2.9 seconds. This thing weighs as much as a truck, and it's able to be this fast. And I'm not that much of a BMW guy, but I have to give props where props is due. Germany really knows how to create some fast cars. They don't even care about weight reduction. You know how people say, oh yeah, we need to get carbon fiber, we need to take out the back seats, we need to do all this stuff. Germany doesn't even care. They're just like, you know what, we're gonna throw a giant V8 in there, twin turbocharge it, and it's gonna make a lot of power, and it's going to beat like 99.9% of cars out there. And this car sounds absolutely insane as well, and I think they did a really good job in the engineering, the looks of this car. Now let's just think about this for a second. What if they put a V10 instead? What if it was a supercharged or turbocharged V10 inside instead of the V8? Not only will this car weigh maybe an extra 1,000 pounds, but it'll sound like a Lamborghini. And if they did this to sort of to commemorate or represent what the M5 used to be, like with the E60 M5 from the late 2000s, I think the hype for this car would be even bigger. And the cool thing about them as well is that you don't see them that much on the road. You mainly see M3s, M4s. Those are the cars that most people are hype about. But if I were to get an M car, it would definitely have to be the new M5 Competition, just because of how it sounds, how it looks, and how fast it is. And I would argue that it's probably one of the best dailies out there because it has a lot of room in both the front and back seats. So not only can you take the kids to school, you can also gap every single car on the road. Now, coming in at number 2, and you guys probably saw this coming, we're talking about the Tesla Cybertruck. Now, mind you, this truck weighs 6,600 pounds. This isn't like an insane weight gap between this car and the M5, okay? When you look at the both of them, it looks like a crazy gap in between the two, right? They look drastically different. You would think maybe the M5 was half the weight of the Cybertruck. But no, even though this behemoth refrigerator with 4 wheels on it weighs 6,600 pounds, it has 600 horsepower and has a 0 to 60 of 3.8 seconds, which I know it's an electric car, but that's still insane for how much this car weighs. And I still don't really understand like the hype behind this car, or you know, what the practicality of it is. Like, does it actually have a good towing capacity? Does it have trunk space? But can you imagine getting hit by this car at 100 miles per hour? Like, they wouldn't be able to find your body. You would have just evaporated. But I would have to say, like, if I was in a zombie apocalypse, that would be the first car that I would get. The only problem that I would have is finding a way to generate electricity. So maybe I would have to get like solar panels or create some type of generator. But the fact that this car is faster than most sports cars on the road, even though it weighs this much, is still mind-boggling. But my question is like, how long does the battery even last on this thing? Like, it's so heavy, has a good amount of power in it. I'm wondering how it compares to other electric cars on the market, because I really can't imagine it being able to go a lot farther than what you would see in like a Tesla Plaid or a Model 3. And on top of that too, like, Tesla batteries are what, 15, 20 grand? If one of them goes out, like, you're in generational debt now. And it's crazy because I'm starting to see these Cybertrucks everywhere now, and a lot of them, just like a lot of other Tesla owners do, they just wrap them. And that's pretty much, I guess, the only modification that you can do to them. And I don't think anyone is ever going to get used to these cars because they look so like futuristic or abnormal compared to all the other cars on the road. But then again, I do think that Elon Musk did a good job in terms of the marketing for this car. And because it stands out and is so obnoxious with how it looks, now more people want to buy this car just for jokes or because they love Tesla. Now next, coming in at number 3, and I know you guys saw this one coming too, we're talking about the Dodge Hellcat Charger. This is a supercharged V8. It weighs 4,500 pounds, has a 0 to 60 of 3.7 seconds, and has over 700 horsepower. Now, even though it weighs almost 1,000 pounds less than the BMW M5 Competition, it's still slower by a lot. Like, that's a whole 0.7 seconds that it's slower, and it's rated for more horsepower, and it's supercharged. And again, like, if you put both these cars next to each other, yeah, the BMW M5 Competition Competition next to a Dodge Charger Hellcat, you would think the Hellcat weighs more just because of how it's shaped, and Mopars are known for being boats, but no, they're still not able to get a lot of power out of it compared to German cars. And honestly, at the end of the day, like, I think the only real reason people buy the Hellcats is because of that supercharger whine. I think it just comes down to the fact of whether you want to hear turbocharged noises like what you get with the M5 or supercharged noises with what you get with the Hellcat. And it comes down to taste too, because I personally would take the M5 all day just because I think in terms of what you're spending on the car, you get better looks and overall design quality. Like, I'm not trying to throw shade on Dodge or anything, but well, I am kind of throwing shade, but Dodge just creates crappy parts. They create like bland plastic pieces, but BMW, when you look at their interiors, especially on their newer cars, they have upped their game a lot. And in terms of competitors in the industry, they are up to date on a lot of things, even compared to my car. Like, I have a Lexus. I have a 2015 Lexus RCF, but when you look at the newer models from like 2024 or 2023, they are the exact same. Like, the interior is pretty much the same. They haven't changed much to it. They have the same quality. They have the same looks in here. So they kind of got lazy in that aspect. But still, a car that weighs 4,500 pounds like the Hellcat, it's still pretty fast, especially when you think back to when the Dodge Hellcat came out. In terms of cars that were supercharged, this thing would destroy everything on the road. But really, what would you guys pick in terms of preference? Would you choose a supercharged car or a turbocharged car? Honestly, I would have to go with the turbocharged car because I can't get over the amazing sound of that whistle. Now, next, coming in at number 4, we have the 2021 Mercedes AMG GT63S. This car weighs 4,700 pounds, has 630 horsepower, and has a 0 to 60 of 3.1 seconds. And again, this thing absolutely just poops on the Dodge Hellcat, and it weighs more than the Hellcat by 200 more pounds. And this is also a twin turbocharged V8. The Germans have done it again, like Mercedes, BMW. Now I see why people love those cars so much in terms of performance. They're just getting faster and faster. The quality of the parts, the reliability of those cars are doing better. Like, you're able to just live in luxury in a Mercedes. Like, just imagine being in a GT63, living in luxury, just driving casually, you know, taking your family to a dinner night, and then some Hellcat or maybe some older M car tries to pull up on you. Like, that's an easy gap. Like, they're done. Like, all these Japanese car companies need to figure out what their secret is, because I don't understand how they're making this much power for how much these cars weigh. Like, they're weighing more, they're making more power, and they're more reliable, which usually doesn't coincide together like that, but they're making it happen. And then next at number 5, we have another Mercedes, and that's the 2020 Mercedes Maybach S680. And this car weighs as much as the M5 Competition at 5,300 pounds. But here's the thing, it has 621 horsepower and it's a V12, but it has a slower 0 to 60 at 3.7 seconds, so it's about as fast as a Hellcat. And as you guys know, Mercedes Maybachs or Maybachs, they're insanely heavy cars because they're meant for luxury. They're meant for like CEOs, executives. Like, if you buy a Maybach, you're gonna be the person sitting in the back seat. You're not gonna be driving the car because you're balling like that. But the fact that they're able to shove a giant V12 inside a car and still only make it weigh around 5,300 pounds is beyond me. And the trend that I keep seeing here with all these different car companies is that they're making cars faster and faster, more turbochargers, more superchargers. But even though they're weighing more, they're getting faster still. And more of these companies are creating fast SUVs. Apparently Chevy's supposed to be coming out with a Corvette SUV. We have all these super fast BMW XM cars. And really, there's just so many different cars that I could add to this list. But I would have to say, out of all these giant cars, I'm still taking that M5 Competition, 100%. And if I were to get my next car, it'd either be that or a C8 Corvette. And when you look at a C8 Corvette, it only weighs 3,500 pounds, but it has a 0 to 60 of around 2.9 seconds with like 490 horsepower. So the fact that an M5 that is 4 doors weighs 5,300 pounds, almost 2,000 pounds more, can potentially beat that car the same amount of speed and performance is just mind-blowing to me. And since it's not naturally aspirated, you get that amazing sound with the turbos. So not only can you take every single car to Gapplebee's, it'll be a perfect daily. But I don't know, those are my thoughts on those cars. I think that there are a handful of them that I could have added to this list. Let me know down in the comment section on any types of cars that I may have missed out on. But I can tell you, man, like, these cars, like, if you have a family, you have some kids, but you still got that dog in you, bro, these might be for you. But with that, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.